3, 2, 1. Welcome to another edition of Indian Cine-MANIACS. What's going on, Maniacs? Oh, wait, there's only 3 of us. What's happening? What is going on, Maniacs?
There were 3.
Okay, so we know why Sean is out. He'll be back at some point. Chris is another story. I think.
Why is Chris not here, Ralph? I'm confused. Why is he not here?
I think maybe he just didn't want to watch this one. Couldn't
No,
watch it.
that's not
you know what?
fair.
He's very busy.
Yeah, I'm sure he was really busy this week.
Very busy. So.
And I bet you he got really busy once he saw that this film was 3 hours long.
It might 2 hours and 50 minutes. And the film is called Trance. And John, can you tell us who suggested
I will
this?
do that. So this is a 2020 Malayalam film. It was recommended by Aditya Kumar, XE8WW. And he had a very short but sweet. It's about a motivational speaker who is then hired to be the face of a religious scam for which he trains. It's an amazing movie and a great performance by Fahadh, who we have come to become a big fan of, all of us, I think.
Huge fan.
Yes, he is. Yeah. An excellent one.
I have.
Yeah.
I've become a big fan.
That was it. Short and sweet.
Yeah, so, Drew, why don't you explain this film?
Yeah, Drew, I would like you to hear you explain this film.
This movie is like 15 different movies, all happening at the same time and overlapping each other and kind of not really doing any of the pieces of it justice. I thought it was interesting to watch, but I eventually it became like, oh, I don't know what they're going to do next, but not in a surprise me with the story way. And I literally have no idea what they're going to do next because the tone kept changing. So it kind of had everything in it. Like maybe it was a masala movie, but I think we're used to the Malayalam films being maybe a little more realistic.
Grounded.
Not that this is unrealistic, but it has a lot of very interesting and declarative things to say about organized religion and making money off of people and all those sorts of things. But then it's also a movie where a character is got mental illness, and the movie has all these statements to make that I'm not sure if the movie is making the statements or people in the movie are making the statements about taking medicine and getting mental health treatment. And then also sometimes it's like a Zack Snyder slow-mo action movie. It's just like it's all these things at once. I think it's about how religion is twisted to the ends of earning money for the people who want to do that, and that many people in the world, in this case in India, are vulnerable to that, and televangelists. The movie probably could have easily been made in America. There's some what was that Steve Martin movie, Leap of Faith?
Right. There's
some leap of faith in there, and some stuff like that. I will say. I do watch the whole movie, and in this case, the first, I think 45 minutes were thank yous on screen.
Yeah.
And one of them was to Robert Zemeckis for Contact, which I thought was interesting because I don't particularly care for that movie. It's not awful, but that is a big movie about, public interaction with religion and things like that is a big part of that story. So I guess that's kind of what they were trying to discuss as well.
That's a good point.
I will say that I had to watch it in Hindi. I was not able to get a Malayalam dub.
Yeah, and none of us could.
The Hindi dub, I don't speak either of those languages, but I think not only do I not like the dub, I'd rather have the original language with the subtitles than a dub with the subtitles. The dub, I think, was pretty atrocious, if only because at this point I know Fahadh. I know what he sounds like. I know what he delivers, and he delivered it, but it was through this big barrier of this dub, and that was disappointing. I don't think it affected whether I thought the movie was good or bad or worth watching or anything like that, but that I was disappointed, Amazon, that you have a listing for the Malayalam language track version, but that's not available in America. So thanks, Jeff.
And not only his voice, but the hallelujah voices of the crowd. It's like they dubbed everything.
Yeah.
And,
No, they
and
did.
And they made that
didn't
big
just
crowd
strip
sound
them.
like 6 people.
Yeah,
instead
it just
of-
sounded super fake.
It was shot with sync sound, but I don't think that the dub tried to do that
No,
or give
no.
it that feel at all, which is too bad because there are some really big, interesting spaces, like the lobby where he meets the Solomon and Isaac
yeah.
when they first interview him. I guess that's a hotel lobby. I don't know if it's supposed to be a hotel lobby or their house. I'm not exactly sure at that point in the movie, but that is a gigantic space. It should have an echo, a resonance to it, and it just sounds like it's dubbed in the studio.
Well,
so
in the booth, yeah. Okay, so the film kind of explained he is a motivational speaker. He had a brother. His mother committed suicide when they were young kids. He has a brother who's mentally ill, it turns out, who ends up hanging himself as well. So he commits suicide. And he goes to he meets a woman in an elevator that he then, when he moves to Mumbai, is that where he moved to?
yes,
Mumbai.
Yeah.
So he sees her, like coincidentally, he sees
In
her in a
traffic.
car in traffic, and she hooks him up with this company that eventually becomes the company that he's fronting for, with those two executives, whatever they were, and then a trainer. This guy Danny, I think his name was. Was it Danny or Henry or the guy who was his?
Yeah, I know what you're
basic-
talking about. Anthony.
Anthony.
Yeah.
And he becomes Fafa becomes the face of this religious television show or whatever it was. I mean, they traveled all over the place, not only selling miracles, which is what he was doing, but also miracle cures and ointments and lotions. And the whole time they're keeping him drugged. They're feeding him pills the whole time.
Just
Which-
like his brother.
What do you mean just like his brother?
His brother was on all kinds of drugs. That was part of the reason why.
Because of his mental illness that he was
Right.
dealing with. And I guess he either tried to kill himself earlier, which is the whole knife thing where he's pulling knives away from his brother, which he eventually does with Esther as well. This one, we'll talk about her in a minute. But, he does that whole scene in the kitchen where he takes those knives away
Well,
from
yeah,
his
because there was
brother.
a flashback where he attacked them with a hammer. So I
Right.
think
Right.
he was removing the weapons.
yeah, any tools like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, I think because of the drugs, just started believing in what he was pushing. He started believing that he was this miracle worker, that he was a direct link to God, and he could cure people. The guy playing the reporter, do you recognize him from
Well, I did.
Kumbalangi
After you
Nights, or-
said it, I
Yeah.
did.
Sure. No, I mean he was the brother in Kumbalangi Nights.
Yeah, the older brother. Wasn't he the
and
older brother?
the oldest? Was the oldest? He was.
I
he
think
the
he was the
brother or
oldest
was
brother.
the
Yeah,
I think
mute
he was the
brother
oldest brother, yeah.
I think he was the
Yeah.
oldest, but
Because Fafa's brother in this was the mute brother in Kumbalangi Nights also.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
catch that. Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of Malayalam acting power in this movie.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
It's not the same director, though, is it?
No.
Okay.
This guy, I think, had taken a break doing movies for quite some time. So when he came back with this after 7 or 8 years, it really like roared back. He's someone that's well known and respected in the business. But yeah, no, I mean that like I've said before, all these Malayalam movies, they're as distinct as the other regional movies, and there's a lot of really great actors. I don't know if Fafa is my favorite actor that we've encountered in all of these different movies, mostly because he's not an RRR, but he is, I mean, really up there, really just incredible.
he's one of my
And
favorites. I just find
he's,
him.
he's
Super
he's
Deluxe.
incredible.
What he did in Super Deluxe, like I didn't even recognize him
Yeah.
in that film.
Well, that's I think that's his secret. I didn't recognize him at first in Kumbalangi Nights after having seen him in Super Deluxe, and then it
Joji,
just kind
too,
of
we
goes
saw
from
him.
there.
Joji.
Yeah, we've seen him in at least.
Yeah.
I feel like we might be forgetting, but we've seen him in at least 4 movies. So
No,
and there's
he
more.
was-
There's more movies that I want to see him in. Like Trance has been on my list. Like, oh, I want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Before we put it on the wheel or anything. So
Yeah, so I mean, I enjoyed the film. I did, and partly because of the actor. I think I like looking at him. I think he's really really good. It's now again with the dubbing, we're not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if the music is also. Could they change music as well? I'm not quite sure if the music was
I
from
don't
the
think
original
so.
or not.
I don't
I think that's the original score
Yeah.
by the
It
first
is?
time composer
Okay.
that did the movie.
It's
There's
just
some good score and some interesting musical editing choices in the way they tell the story.
well,
too.
they
I
threw
like
that whole Ricky, what's his name? The
Ricky Martin.
Yeah. Now that if you hear that, they show him on the TV doing the Vita Loca, right?
Yeah.
But you also hear it like coming through some of
Yeah.
the compositions. You can hear a little bit of that theme, and I'm not quite sure what they're saying there with that choice to show Ricky Martin doing the Vita Loca. But John mentioned it today when we talked about it, which is, was it real? Did it actually happen?
Well,
Now, I don't know if they're putting us in the position of our main guy, because they were drugging him the whole time. And was this a fever dream that he was having?
well, remember, he started taking the brother's drugs before he went to Mumbai.
Right.
right.
Started popping those pills. Look, there's a couple of things, and I don't know. I did not see it that way, but
Me
as
neither.
I
didn't. I didn't until you brought
as
it up.
I started to read the reviews on it after I watched it, a lot of things started to make sense. For instance, there's a sign. Now, there's a reason why they show the sign on the stairway that there's no shortcuts, take the stairs, right? And he ends up meeting that woman in an elevator as opposed to the stairs. So there's a shortcut. Then he meets with the two guys. And he also said to be successful, there are no shortcuts. Well, he makes a deal with those two guys. There's a shortcut. So they do imply now, Drew, you already brought this up. Malayalam films are very grounded, right? And it was very grounded up until he went to Mumbai, and then the whole tone of it kind of changed. That's why I'm not 100% sure the way it was explained. And again, I guess it's your interpretation of it. It kind of broke into two parts. He went through the training. He became this televangelist. Then he got hit in the head with the club, and then it went a completely different direction, like that
Right.
scene with the neon glasses and Hallelujah and Esther. All that was like, I think, and I could see it this way, that he was literally in a coma and he was hallucinating all of that, because at the end he comes out and with a whatever the form is to release him, and it said he was there for 2 years. And then he goes sees Esther in where were they?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, and she is a prostitute.
Again, yeah.
And then the last scene is her running towards the window. You hear the shatter of the glass, and you hear Trance in the background. So I could definitely, now that I've read that, I could definitely see some of the things they were doing. Now, a few things about this movie that I feel. His performance was unbelievable from where he started and where he ended up. The transformation his character goes through. So I am a big fan of him as an actor. My biggest complaint was that I had to watch that dub, because I'm fine. Like I watched an Amir Khan film that it wasn't a Hindi track. It was something else. And I know it wasn't his voice. So I had to search for the one because I know what he sounds like. It was the same thing here. So what I did was I watched the trailer, and his delivery with his real voice was so different than the dub, which I found a little bit over the top. Hallelujah, hallelujah, because he didn't sound like that. I would love to see this. I would actually like to, not the whole movie, but certain scenes with the Malayalam dub, because I bet you the performance is even more nuanced than what we got from this dub. So I found that very disappointing, and it was very frustrating because we all know his voice. But
I didn't think to look at the trailer to get a taste of that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, well, I was like, I
out.
want to know, was there a difference in the delivery? Because he's such a good actor, and he's a very subtle actor too. And some of the stuff he was doing just seemed out of character for his style of acting, and the trailer kind of proved that. But then as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay, so there was a lot of controversy about this film, and I assume it's because it's pretty anti-religion, where I could see a lot of religious people getting upset about it. Then it's also, is it anti-medication or over-medication? And then is it there's not enough attention for mental health? So it kind of hit a lot of things that I could see where it would be controversial. But it had a very distinct look to it, and And for me, the thing that I loved about this movie was just his performance was just, I just found from that first scene where he's trying to protect his brother till his, now for a living, I do motivational speaking. Okay. That's what I do. And there was stuff he did that I'm like, I'm not going to lie. Before I do a meeting of, I'm going to talk to 2,000 people, I look in the mirror and I always go, it's showtime. I always do that. So when he did that, I was like, okay, I can relate to this guy. Some of this other stuff. But he was so earnest about wanting to be, he wanted to be a good motivational speaker. He had these dreams. That's why I think this whole thing about the hallucination or drug-induced hallucination makes more sense to me with the path that he took and how he took it compared to how he was at the beginning. That's kind of my take on it. But I did like it. I mean, I think I know I liked it a lot more than Drew, but I think part of the reason, I think if that performance wasn't good, I probably wouldn't have liked it nearly as much. I just loved him in this. I thought he was great.
Well, first, as an aside, I have pictured you getting ready to go out on stage and do your work. I presume you are an invigorating and exciting and dynamic speaker, because that's the energy you bring to the show and everything. I always pictured you sort of psyching yourself up more like Mark Wahlberg at the end of Boogie Nights, when he whips it out and talks to himself, and he's a big bright shining star. But I think the change that you're talking about that he goes through. I mean, they literally rename him and everything like that.
JC.
Here's what I think about this, because I read a little bit about the movie also, and there was some stuff about how is Esther actually not real, because they try to convince him she's not real. Maybe she wasn't real. You could say, like you were talking, that from when he goes into the coma to the end of the movie, it's all in his head.
Right.
And you could say the same thing, spoiler alert for a 21-year-old movie. You could say in Minority Report, when Tom Cruise gets arrested and haloed, the rest of the movie is just in his head, because Tim Blake Nelson told us that's where all your dreams come true. And then everything that he was fighting against, he won. Here's the problem with both of those. If that's actually what happened, that is so boring. Like, that's just not interesting.
Well, they did the
it's
same
much more
thing in
interesting
Top Gun.
to have
Top Gun Maverick.
You could
exactly. Argue the same thing.
It's just much more interesting to have reality be sort of fluid from the perspective of the narrator than to actually be, well, it's all a dream, or any of that kind of stuff. And so I think the movie has things to say about mental health medication and mental health treatment that I don't personally agree with. But I think that they're talking about not only is someone not well, but they're living such an extreme lifestyle in every way. He can't help but not be that gentle guy that he was at the beginning. And I think the fact that it was fast, that it was abrupt, that he went for an interview and he was like, okay, I'm in.
Right.
I think that's because it's so seductive. Because when they said, you're going to make a shitload of money and you have to just do what we tell you, he, like many people, was, okay, I'll do that because I have nothing and I have great loss. And I found that sort of like emotionally credible. But as the movie goes on, it gets more and more fantastical. And some of the stuff, like, I wish we had met Thomas earlier. Thomas is the one who lets his daughter die because he won't take her to the hospital. We met him, like, there's 40 minutes left in the movie or something. I wish that we had met him before so that we sort of saw him buy into it. Because the passage of time, it's not exactly clear in the movie, but there's definitely across a number of years where he builds the audience and builds wealth. And it feels, I think, faster than it is.
Well, he took 6 months to learn the Bible. That was so.
Yeah,
but it's funny you say that because again, this is what confused me. If it was some kind of fever dream or something, there was a scene where the two guys were interviewing another guy to be the new pastor, right?
Right.
Okay. Well,
immediately
if it's a fever dream, that wouldn't be there.
Well, listen, they were playing all over the place, whether it was a dream or not.
Right.
Because even the guy who is his trainer,
Anthony.
Anthony said those two guys aren't real. They don't exist.
Right.
He said it.
Well, but what he said it was, because he was going to rat him out.
No, I understand, but I think because he was drugged, I think they were playing with him and with us at the same time. Because you're right.
Yeah.
That scene with the glasses, the neon glasses, and he's flipping those guys around, and what is that all about?
Right.
But like all these Indian films we watch, they do that all the time to us, right? It's a constant knee jerk back and forth. They're doing things that jerk you around all the time. And then when he says, "What do we do about Esther?" and the guy goes like this,
Right.
Okay, so they're telling you that they're going to kill her, but
And
they
she's gone
didn't.
after that.
Well,
After calling him.
and I was upset. I was like, "Oh, where's Esther? Esther's gone.
Right.
What's going on?" And then, obviously, at the end, you see what happens. I don't know. It's
Well, listen, the biggest hint is the name of the film. Trance.
well, I
I
think
actually
that's
thought that was going to be more of a part of the movie. Like we were going to discover that he's
Well-
actually really good at hypnosis or something.
well. I mean, isn't that the point? He's putting the audience in a trance the
No,
whole
I
time.
think
They're
he's
showing
in the trance.
everybody is.
Well, yeah,
Everybody
I mean,
is.
you could
Everybody
say that.
is.
Yeah.
And the
I mean,
one
he
guy
buys,
that
he buys his own shit to some level. I don't know if he thought, at certain points in the movie, I was like, does he really think he can make this guy stand up out of his wheelchair and walk? And then you realize, well, no, of course that guy's a setup, so he's gonna basically play chicken with him until
No,
he
I think you're
stands
right
up.
because he thought he was going to make that girl awake from being dead. I mean,
But he might have
faking
thought that because he was already so ill himself.
Right.
Like he's definitely more unhinged and screaming in the phone
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. So
But
well,
he
there was the
thought he
one
was gonna
scene
be
with
able to-
Esther where he takes the pill and then spits the pill out,
Yeah.
right.
and it's like, okay, he's starting to figure out what's going on, but then he
Right.
started taking them again. I mean, it just, it was.
Well, when he didn't take the pills, he didn't sleep, right?
That's what
And if
he
you
had
don't sleep,
insomnia.
that'll drive you out of your mind.
Right. And it was
Anyway.
breaking him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
So-
I enjoyed the film. I'm going to
So
say
did
I thought it was.
It was
good.
worth a watch.
Yeah.
He was good, and his face at the end when he smiles, when he sees her in the window.
Right.
I mean, this is what this guy does. Like when you see him, when I saw him in Super Deluxe, like I said, I didn't recognize him. And then you see him in Kumbalangi Nights, that one where he's playing the real douchebag,
Yeah.
and he's a real douchebag. I mean, he
Right.
really plays an asshole really well. And in this one, yes, he you can see he is very charismatic. He's very charismatic.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a good actor. He's a good, you're saying that motivational thing where he clapped against the thing.
Yeah.
And he's doing the thing. And you really buy into it. And I guess he bought into his own shit, I guess. But again, are we saying that we're not saying it didn't happen, right? We're saying it happened.
I'm saying I think the last part of the movie was in his head.
I hope
Once he
so.
got hit with the golf club, I think that all that was
Yeah.
It
I
could
don't.
be.
I don't
It
agree
could
with
be.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Well, you know
possible.
what?
I see
What
how
do
you
you
could get
guys
there.
think?
But I
What's
don't know.
what
Let
is
us
the
know in
what
the
is
comment
the what is
section.
the point of what is the symbolism of her breaking through the glass
Well,
in Amsterdam?
the way I took that was because mirrors play a big part in this film.
Yeah.
Like she was breaking through a mirror because he's always looking in the mirror for affirmation, and I kind of felt like that was breaking the mirror. That's
No,
how I
she's
read
breaking
that.
through glass. I don't see that.
Well,
as like
but
an image.
I know, but they don't show it. All
And
you
what
hear.
was her? What was her? Was she just a party girl? Was that her thing? That they just?
Well, that's what they implied at the beginning. She was
Right.
just,
Yeah.
and then when
Then you
see
saw her real life later.
Well, that's
and
right.
That was
So
very sad and
Yeah.
right,
tried to kill herself and stuff.
He knew her, but did he know her from being Esther, or did he know her from being there before? That's what I didn't understand.
What do you mean he knew her?
He knew her from maybe he'd been there before with that prostitute, not Esther, the assistant.
In Amsterdam?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't. I thought he.
Well,
just,
he knew where to go
No.
to find her.
because she sent him the postcard in the car.
It
The
didn't
Yeah, I
say-
know. I know we're supposed to feel it's a love story ending. I don't know how much
No,
of a
I'm
love
not
story
sure
it is.
that's-
I will
yeah.
say I think it's a very interesting role to cast your wife in, and then play against each other in the
That's
movie.
his wife?
Yeah, in real life, Nazriya. I'm sorry, I
Oh.
can't remember her last name. And so, you see movie couples make movies together, and sometimes it's really quite magic, and sometimes it really isn't. And this was just, it was just different.
Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger.
That was magic. I love that film.
I was thinking more Bogart and Bacall, but I know what
I'm
you
thinking
mean.
Cruise and Kidman in the movie Drew Brought Last Christmas.
Eyes Wide Shut? Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
They lit the fire in Far and Away, and then it really,
Right.
Oh,
I didn't know they were
crazy.
married.
That's
That's cool.
Still in Mirror.
So
I mean,
so no, let's get
Yeah.
back to this for a second. So that scene, John, in the car where he's reading her letters,
yeah.
or wherever he was reading it. I think. And, okay, I'm looking at the IMDb right now. The fish.
You're not getting back to
What's
me.
the symbolism of the fish?
Well, the fish was.
They represent what? Freedom to him?
No, it was a memory of his brother. His brother, he got him when they were a kid, and their mother killed himself. The kid was going nuts, and he got him fish, and it calmed the kid down. So that's all the references to the fish. So that is in response to what happened to the brother.
Yeah.
So because that plays a thread throughout the entire movie too.
The fish are everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I mean, it's different. It was a different movie, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anything else? I mean, I can't. I got those two dudes, man. See, this is what I mean. Like, it goes between is it real or not real, and then you're talking about Thomas comes in and just utterly kills those two, like destroys those two guys in that scene where he takes their heads off with that sickle or whatever the hell he brought in because of what they did. What they didn't really do it to his daughter. He did it to his daughter, like you said, because he wouldn't go to the hospital.
But he confessed to it to get him to do what he did.
And there was that confession kind of scene that Fafa had where he apologized to Thomas, like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Right.
So that's what I mean. So those two guys represented something. Those two guys represented the evil of capitalism, corporate. I don't know what they represented. And this kind of all over the place, the film. All over the place with the messages. What are they showing? La Vida Loca, this.
I mean, they do that in a lot of these movies. They attack so many social issues in one movie because I've said that in a lot of the movies that I review with the 10-ish minute review, I say, I like this, but there was they were going after so many things. It had so many messages. It's like if you just focus on these two, and people are like, no, this is a problem here in India. We want to attack all of it. And that's kind of how I felt about this. They kept going one after the other. Because when you first start watching, okay, it's anti-religion, like I said earlier. But then they start throwing out all this other stuff, and it's one on top of the other on top of the other. So it's like, but in the fact, the movie I was telling you, Ralph, that I watched today, it was the exact same thing. It was one social message after another. And it's just overwhelming, but that's typically what they do in these films. Malayalam. By the way, I do have one complaint about Malayalam films. I don't know if you guys agree or not. The soundtracks are relentless. They just don't stop throughout the entire movie. There's always music playing. There's no quiet moments, and I've noticed that in all the Malayalam films that we've watched. And sometimes it gets a little distracting. This film, there were certain scenes I'm like, you don't need that driving music here. It doesn't make any sense. I want to hear the performances. I find that a little bit distracting.
Well, they do.
Sometimes.
That's the Christopher Nolan approach too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
if you watch Oppenheimer, it's the same thing. It's like
now he did that because the Trinity scene. It made the Trinity scene.
Well,
that
one
much
scene,
more effective.
Okay, I don't know about that, but maybe
it did.
Okay, I know it did. I'm not saying,
but I don't disagree with you. I found that distracting in that film.
I don't know. I didn't notice that because again, I'm listening to to me, there's always music in these that are always on the nose, and I was getting like hung up on the La Vida Loca, like it was so specific when they showed that TV, and was I imagining hearing it sprinkled throughout this thing? Because every once in a while I heard it, and it's like.
So you think Fafa was living Da Vida Loca?
I'm just wondering there's a reason. It's a whole Chekhov's, gun. There's a reason they show a cutaway to that specific song at that specific time.
I mean, the movie is full of Chekhov's guns that go off or not in a variety of different ways. I mean, you can read all kinds of stuff into the movie. It starts with a hammer attack. It ends with a sickle attack. All these characters have biblical names like Isaac and Solomon, and Mary Magdalene is Esther, the holy prostitute, and Thomas is Isaac, sacrificing his son. Except in the story of the sacrifice of Isaac, at the last minute, God goes, "Just kidding," and saves him. And there's the movie saying because that didn't happen here, that there is no God. I don't know. I mean, I can put my own Jewish atheism on the movie if I want to, and I don't know that the movie would agree with everything that I would say about it, but I think it is an accurate look at the way people interact with religion and societies interact with religion without having to say this is the truth, this is the one true religion, he's right, he's wrong. But exploiting people is wrong, I mean, they definitely take some shots at the prosperity gospel and all that kind of
they
stuff.
were super cynical about it. I mean, it's total.
It's very cynical.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, those two guys, are they just, rich guys that are really rich and they're bored, so they want to make a lot of money in a way that controls people? Are they supposed to be like the Illuminati? Like, I don't know exactly what their story is, but the fact that it's so easy to make so much money and to make a superstar using religion, I mean, that could happen anywhere in the world. That was definitely not just an Indian story or something like that.
Yeah. Well, they certainly killed the reporter there when he was going to get his money, and then he
was getting greedy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So let's rate this one. I mean, I'm gonna say, for me, 3 Ladus. That's not the highest rating, but given the length of the film and kind of the confused message, although I love this guy. Well,
that's why I'm going to give it a 4 because, listen, it's a tour de force, right? And if he's not good, the movie doesn't work at all. And I thought he was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Even with the
I'm going to go with 3, but I do wonder if I'd give it at least a little bit more if I was able to see the original performances.
I would like to see, I would rewatch this again for that if we could get our hands on the original version, because I didn't like hearing the hallelujahs from the crowd. Forget him doing it.
Yeah.
Even the
it's
crowd
distracting
sounded phony and just goofy.
No, some of the line readings with the dubbing, you could tell didn't match the emotion that they were showing.
Right.
That's not a good way to watch it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are people in the business who will dub multiple languages in their own voices.
Right.
And there are movies like, I think, I want to say, was it Bahubali? Some of those movies, like, they shot the whole movie, each scene, once in Tamil, once in Telugu, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they'll do that sometimes, but this was clearly not the same actors doing the dubbing. So
Well,
that's not to say that Fafa doesn't speak Hindi. I have no idea, but that was not the acting that was on screen did not match the acting of the voice performance.
But again, like the other Malayalam films we talk about and complain a little bit about, they're gorgeous. The settings are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about the hotel rooms and stuff like that. Forget the inside, the hall, not the auditoriums that they did some of their that looked a little bit phony and CGI-ish, but the outside stuff and the driving around Mumbai and all that, I just think these films are beautiful, just gorgeous. So all right. Well, that was a good one.
I wonder what Chris would have thought of it.
We'll never know.
Who?
Chris.
Yeah.
Who? Exactly. Who? What's his name? All right. Let's see the next viewer pick, shall we? All right. So here we go.
We're whittling it down.
We're down to what? 5 of them. Wow, this is going quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm
It's like
sticking
one a
with
week.
it. So here we go.
My name is Khan. Come on, it's gotta. Or Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, this is right in the.
Oh, close.
Right on the line.
Pa. Is that how we say that? Pa. Okay.
I guess I don't know.
All right.
Okay, so that was recommended by Pandi Payush 6795.
Okay, don't read the description until next week.
I won't, but I will tell you it stars Amitabh Bachchan. Big
do
B.
you have a length on that thing?
It's 2 hours and 13 minutes, but I don't know where we can watch it.
1 hour and 20 minutes.
You're lying. You're lying.
Chris?
That's for Chris.
1 hour and 20 minutes.
Is that the first half?
Once you get past all the thank yous, it's very short.
Oh, that's what I want to say about the last one.
I
Okay, you
know.
talked about the thank yous. The title didn't come in
I
until
know.
40 minutes in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I watched another Malayalam film today, and it was the exact same thing. It was. I swear to you, the first 5 minutes were thank yous. So that must be something.
5. This was more than 5, and there was tons of warnings that kept coming up every time.
Well, that's.
What was she smoking? Those cigarettes she's smoking?
No,
or
I
is that
think she was
marijuana?
smoking pot, right?
I don't know. I can't tell if.
Well,
that's
it looked like
making
she
her
was rolling.
Yeah, that's what I
joints.
saw too.
But then when she smoked, they acted like she was just smoking a cigarette.
That's
and
what I
don't
mean. It
have
didn't
any
look like she
idea
was
what
smoking.
weed
Right.
is or doesn't look like in India in public. So
Well, you don't smoke weed like you smoke a cigarette. It's a whole different. Not that
I don't know.
do it, but
I mean, I wouldn't know that.
why would you?
John doesn't know. He's just a big, bright, shining star, Ralph. Okay.
That's right. Motivation. Let's go.
Yeah, lower.
It's showtime.
All right, guys. So next week, maybe we'll have Chris back. Maybe Sean will be back. It might just be us three. I don't know.
It might be whittled down to 2. You just don't know.
You don't know.
Anything is possible.
Here we go. So, all right.
I don't know where Pa is streaming either, so I don't even know if it's streaming. So
we don't.
I think
what? We don't have any idea.
No,
I can't find it.
I've reached out to somebody.
So
who
how
might
could,
be able to set us up.
Does that mean we're all going to get a break this week? What does that mean?
No.
Huh? What? Let me just check one site that I look at for these.
This is riveting TV right here.
Hey, listen. Keep talking amongst yourselves.
Look.
Yeah, I'm sure you have something. PAA, right? Pa?
PAA. Pa.
Pa. Okay. Yeah. Not streaming anywhere.
Okay. So I'll do a little
that I can
reaching
see
out for that one. Drew, reach
It
out
is
to
on
your
DVD
contact.
and Blu-ray, but I
is.
don't see it streaming either. Yeah,
Okay.
It does exist.
Maybe it'll show up in my post office box.
Right?
No,
exists.
nothing shows up in my post office.
Yeah, no.
All right,
Not
guys.
from India.
Have a good week, and we'll see who shows up next week.
Okay, see you next week, everybody. Don't forget, subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and share, please.
Please.
See you guys.
Please. Bye.